Page 21, let's turn over a new leaf. The key word is turn. They're introducing you to an ornament, another ornament. See, we've had the trill. Well, this is another ornament called a turn. They've written it out for you for the first couple of lines. The symbol, they give it up above. It's a little curly, sideways curly thingy. And normally, the notes used in the turn are whatever the notes are in the scale of the key you're in. For instance, at the beginning of this, you have a 3 and then the 8th notes. Here, well, in the key of F major, which is what we're in here, we have a flat, a B flat, so it would be this. Those would be the notes in the turn. But if they don't want those notes, and they don't, then they put an accidental above or below the little sideways curly thingy, the turn symbol. If the symbol is below it, they're referring to the note under the note given. See, the note played, we'll go down to the 3rd line. Here, we have an A here. That's the note given. That we're going to turn on that note. And to do that, we're going to use the notes next to it in the scale. Here. Here. That's all it is. And if we don't want all those notes used, we got to use these accidentals. Well, if you look at the 3rd line, you see underneath the turn symbol, there's a sharp sign. That means the note under the A is going to be sharp. So we're going to use the G sharp instead of that. Here. That note. We use the B flat because that's in the key singers. That's in the scale. But then now we're going to do that. There. If they wanted to be natural here, then they would put a natural sign above the turn symbol. And that tells you the note above the note given. That applies to that. And there's nothing above it. It's below it. So it's below. We'll look at the top line. You have the symbol for the turn, and underneath it they put a natural sign. Well, the note the turn is on is a C. And so the note, you're using these notes, well, it would be this note, because there's a B flat in the key signature. But they don't want a B flat, they want a B natural. So the note under the C is here, so here. And that's how it turns. You got to watch it very carefully to see if there's accidentals. Go down to the bottom, the last 2 measures. It's an F with a turn, but there's no accidental on the turn sign. So now we're just going to use the notes in the scale. All of them, just like they're written. And those are the notes. That's how you can figure out what are the notes in the turn. We use the note above and below it, and then you adjust it according to the accidentals, above or below the symbol. You'll get it eventually. It happens a lot. As far as how it's played, well, you interpret it different ways. Right now we keep it simple. We're just doing 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and. It's 4, 3, 2, 1. It's put it on 4, 3, 2, 1, except the thumb's underneath, so you're doing that. So that's the most common fingering for a turn there is. I use it more than any of the others. There's other fingerings sometimes, depending on what black keys are involved. But you use that quite a bit. So at the beginning, 1 and 2 and 3 and you just keep going. Second line, 1 and 2 and. See, we have a C sharp because there's a sharp sign under the turn symbol. So it's otherwise it would be these notes. Third line, it's here. Remember the B flat. The last line, there's a sharp sign under this symbol, so it's a F. Here. It's basically how it is. Actually, the turn isn't necessarily going to be an even number of notes. I mean, it's not going to be rhythmically like that. People will interpret the turn differently. That's when you start interpreting the music and you get into it and you feel it. Right now you play it rhythmically, mechanically, just like it is. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. It's good enough. So just follow the fingering in here. It's fine. In the left hand you got the broken chords. Second line, 4 going. look out. You got here 4, then here. Then you can use second finger on the B flat if you want. Put the hands together slowly. 1 and 2 and 2. Something like that. You take it your speed and then go back and work out the hesitations and all. So this left hand can be a steady flow at whatever speed you choose. It can go real slow if you need to, but don't go slow on the first measure and then speed up for the others. Now keep it one speed throughout. There's no real articulation in here shown. Just connect everything as best you can. Dynamic applies to the right hand. That's the melody, if you want to call that a melody. If that's soft, then the left has to be very soft. So in the second line, first measure, there I don't really feel a need to do a thumb there. I can just stay there. That's fine because it's a slow. I mean, if it were really fast, I'd have to finger it differently. But I think it's fine just to play a third finger for that last one. So forth. Speed-wise on Dante is kind of a casual stroll. And it's the flow of the piece, not the beat. Something about that, I think. Maybe that's too slow. But when you think 1, 2, 3, that's not a casual stroll. Well, it's not the beat, it's the flow of the piece. Then the dolce just means a singing type, sweetness. Go up to, you want that turn to flow into the next note. It flows into there, don't separate. No, a turn leads into the next note. It connects this note and that note. The first note in the first measure and the first note in the second measure. It connects them. The note before and after the turn. And you connect it all, just it leads into go on up to here. Each time you do that, second line, it just leads into it. And that's how it needs to be felt. Pedal-wise, well, you don't need pedal on this. I mean, it's fine without, but okay, they're doing pedal. It's just overlapping pedal throughout. If we do it that way, this is what we get. If that sounds okay to you, go with it. I mean, keep in mind that when you go slower, people have more time to hear the notes. You don't want to smear too much. See, since this is in 3/4 time, maybe we can use a waltz pedaling. I know there's a couple. One is just pedal the first beat of the measure. And that's a one, it reinforces that natural accent. 1, 2, 3, 1. Or maybe because it's so slow, it'd be better to pedal the first 2 beats of the measure and lift up on beat 3. It's another effect. You have to experiment with the pedal and the effect it has on what are you after. On the turns, I tend to lift up on the last note. I don't want to smear it all. It's a bit much. So I tend to lift up I tend to lift up on the last note just to clear out the sound. Otherwise, pedal this is fine. So I tend to lift up on the last note of the turn itself. Otherwise, I think I was pretty much legato pedaling it. That's fine. Let's try it together very slowly. And I will try and pedal it like I just described. But I just want to make sure we have the notes in the turn correctly at least. So I'll give us 3 counts. 1, ready, go.